Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Frankenstein. I'm Steven. I kind of wanted to make this video just for new players, anyone coming to Darktide. With the Darktide launch being tomorrow, I kind of wanted to get into the mood on this channel by highlighting a few things I think every new player should be familiar with. And if you're a returning player, well, then just enjoy the video. The pre-order beta was honestly great. The team was actively adding content, updating the game as the beta went on. I'm honestly very pleased with what they have allowed us to play so far. They have a huge variety of weapons, really well-designed maps highlighting life in these hive cities. And of course, Jesper Kid's soundtrack just does the game justice. Really immersive. And honestly, Darktide is shaping up very nicely so far. So with all that being said, let's first fill you in on what you'll find in the main lobby. So of course, you'll have the normal requisition shop where you can purchase new classes of melee and ranged weapons as well as trinkets. You can test those out in that Psychanium, the little training room. But yeah, this shop is where you'll probably be spending most of your money at first. They also offer cosmetics now in that shop, which I think is pretty cool for weapons and character. They are a bit expensive, but the other way is, of course, unlocking them through the achievements. So contracts are available at a level 11, I believe, and are seen as kind of like a list of side missions. For instance, like kill 750 of a certain type of enemy, right? Once you do enough of these contracts and you get enough credits, you'll be able to buy limited time weapons, which typically seem to be purple rarity. Or you can try your luck on mystery acquisitions. So there are some options for, how you can get weapons. You also occasionally get awarded a weapon at the end of every match. Now, of course, the other interesting stall that should be mentioned is the Omnissiah's Shrine. So here, it's maintained by a tech priest, which I think is dope. But here you can bring materials called plasteel and diamantite that you can find just throughout, like, the levels, throughout the missions. Which will allow you to upgrade current weapons to either purple or higher rarity. And honestly, you change weapons so often at anything below max level, which is 30. I would just save these materials up until endgame, to be honest. They are pretty rare. It's not every match that you'll find these materials, so I would save them up until you know that you have a weapon you want to stick with and you want to upgrade that weapon. Oh, and did I mention there's a barber? So this also brings me to the point of sticking with one character until level 30. Now, of course, you don't need to. It's not a requirement, but each character's weapons are unique to them, as well as resources, I believe. Each character also has their own path to gaining unique cosmetics through progression and completing penances or achievements. And, if you're limited on time, like I am, and you're unable to get each class to level 30 in a week, like a lot of people playing, and you want to look pretty dope, then I'd certainly suggest grinding away at one character. Especially for the cosmetics. The cosmetics, they take a bit of time. Of course, you need to be able to even get up to, I think, Malice, which is the 3rd difficulty, to do some of them. So, in my opinion, it's always good to stick with one character. Find who you want to play, max them out. I also just want to point out that each class, it certainly, it definitely feels like it serves a purpose, and they're not just kind of like meaningless classes like, oh, they all do damage, or they're all, no. Like, they actually have instances where each of them shine. So, for instance, Ogrins are really great at getting in and CCing enemies. They knock down enemies, throw people around, kind of, aggro for their team, while Zealots are great at closing distances on threats and taking them down quickly. It is often that you'll see a Zealot charge into a mutant, maybe, and one-shot it. And, of course, Veterans, they specialize in dispatching enemies from a distance, etc., etc. They each bring their own utility to the table, which I really appreciate about the game. So, of course, we're moving right along here. This is going to bring me to the topic of missions and combat, right? So, naturally, you do a mission, you get money and XP. The higher the difficulty, the more challenges involved, the more money and XP you get, right? So, that's pretty straightforward. You get your little hub. You get to see which specific missions are up, or you can just do quick play. I really haven't found the benefit of just doing quick play other than you just get into a match quicker. And it's just kind of random, but I don't know. In combat, you will see some friendlies start to just wander into your line of sight, right? Like directly into the target that you're shooting at. You'll just see a big Ogren eclipse it. And while friendly fire doesn't necessarily seem to do much, if any, damage from difficulties 1 to 3, I believe later difficulties do begin, they start giving friendly fire damage. So I don't know, maybe someone who's played those can confirm that. But in my opinion, the best practice is to stop shooting teammates in the back before you get to those later levels. It's just good to develop these habits now. I mean, Vermintide, you could lay your teammates out in a matter of seconds. Um, so watch that. And now another good thing to practice early on will definitely be sliding, to dodge and learning how to block properly. They do have perfect time blocks, so if you can hit the block at the right time, you can get a quick shot off. And that's the same with like the Catachan sword, I think. You can parry and kind of get a quick shot off. But blocking is really going to be your friend. And I also really came to realize lately that sprinting through the levels is not necessarily that great. Because if you suddenly get into combat with no stamina, you're going to have a really bad time. Long story short, no stamina equals no blocking, which means you die. Um, but honestly, like if you're new to the Tide series, that's one thing that even people that play a lot of Tide games like myself have to learn. I typically try to just go back and forth, slide back and forth, trying to avoid damage that way. But blocking is your best friend. And stamina really helps. So I just wanted to go over some basics before Darktide actually comes out. I'll let the rest of the game be a surprise to you and let you learn things on your own for now. I hope you all enjoy your Darktide experience as much as I have so far, and I look forward to seeing many of you in the Hive cities. I was considering making videos talking about specific weapons or even the veteran class, which is like what I main currently. So if you enjoyed this one and would like to see more Darktide content, let me know. But anyways, thank you all for watching. Have a great time, and see ya.